Hey guys, how the hell are you? So apparently there's something that we need to discuss, something we need to talk about. A few of you guys have asked me for my opinion on this matter, and I gave it some thought, and I've kind of decided that I have an opinion that's a little bit different from what a lot of you guys are taking issue with. So this might strike a few of you the wrong way, and if it does, hey, I apologize, but y'all asked. So there is apparently, all of a sudden, a hot button topic that the entire guitar community is discussing. All of a sudden, there is a new issue that we need to all jump on and eliminate. All of a sudden, there is a huge monolithic problem plaguing the guitar community, and you might be picking up on the fact that I keep saying all of a sudden a lot, because I can't fucking understand why it got to this point where all of a sudden this is now a major issue. Like, this is something that should have been killed in its infancy. This is something that we as a collective should have stomped on like a narc at a biker rally the moment we first figured out that it was existing. But no, instead, this has not been going on days, this has not been going on weeks, not even months. This has been going on for years. And in some forms, we're talking about decades. I am, of course, talking about fake guitar playing. Now, there's a few different variations of this. First of all, with regards to the whole miming thing. Now, this is something that's been going on for literally decades, so I don't understand why this is all of a sudden an issue now. This has been happening in promotional footage and music videos, etc. for eons, but all of a sudden now this is an issue? I don't get it. So maybe it's a contextual thing. Maybe there's something I'm not picking up on. The second thing, which I also don't think is actually all that diabolical, is the whole MIDI programming thing. And the reason why I don't take too much of offense to this is because this is something that, hey, if you can't play a particular instrument and you're at least honest and upfront about it, like, hey, I don't know how to do this, or I suck at this, so I'm just going to program it, then that should be fine, as long as you're honest and upfront about it. If you're sitting there programming some MIDI and running it through an amp sim, and all of a sudden now there's your guitar track, meanwhile you are a quote-unquote badass guitar player, and that's how you decide to track your album, then fuck you. You should not be allowed to do that. And you deserve to be called out on the carpet for that. But meanwhile, in instances like, for instance, Anup Sastry, how he came out with an EP, I think it was several years ago, where he did the drums, but then he programmed all the guitar and bass, and he came right out and said, hey, yeah, I'm not a guitarist, I'm not a bassist, so I programmed it all. And none of us really took offense to that. Something more close to home, take a look at my videos. To call me a bad drummer is to give me way too much credit as a fucking drummer. I suck at drumming. So that's why I program it all, or lately I've been dropping in loops, and now here's your song for the demo portion of this video. I mean, why should that be all of a sudden an issue now if we're programming MIDI? As long as you're honest and upfront about it. Where a lot of people are taking offense, though, is a lot of times on Instagram and sometimes on YouTube and Facebook, there's a lot of guys that are recording video and then speeding it up so that they appear more technically precise and faster and more fluid of a player than they actually are. And for the record, I do think that you're kind of scum if you do this. And the reason why is because, look, number one, you're not fooling anyone. Number two, a lot of times you're selling something in relation to these videos, whether it be lesson plans, whether it be an album recording or something like that. I don't know. I don't understand why this has become kind of a normal thing that a lot of guys on various social media forums and various content creators have all of a sudden decided that this is okay to do. If you can't play something at the BPM that you originally intended for it to be at, there's really only two ethical options. Either A, you practice your ass off and you get it up to the tempo that you need it to be at, or B, you throw in the fucking towel and say, you know what, that's not a 300 BPM song anymore. I'm going to drop that motherfucker down to 280 because that's where I can play it cleanly and that's where it's going to stay. I'm not going to speed up the video. I'm not going to speed up the recording. It's just, hey, that's a 280 song now. But here's what I think is the actual real crux of the issue. And this is where I feel a lot of you guys are going to get very, very divisive over my opinion. Why are we putting so much emotional investment into content creator guitar players on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube? Don't get me wrong. I understand I am one of them. I'm not like some gifted songwriter. I'm not some gifted guitar player by any fucking stretch. So don't think for a second that I'm putting myself on some weird pedestal here. But why do we invest so much time in these dudes? Why do we invest like so much of our heart and soul and emotional strength in like, oh my God, this video on Instagram, it's sped up. Why the fuck do you care? First of all, the music kind of sucks. Let's be honest here. This isn't exactly groundbreaking shit. How about we just collectively, as a unit, decide that, you know what? This boring, derivative shit that keeps getting thrust in front of us in our Insta feeds and our Facebook feeds, how about we just ignore it? How about we don't give these guys the time of day? How about we decide, you know what, I'd rather listen to this person over here or that band over there that at least has cohesive musical ideas that are interesting, that have emotional impact, that hit you in a place that you really, really need to be hit by music. You know, how about we stop giving airtime to these motherfuckers that all they do is they've got a minute and 10-second long etude that they can't figure out how to fit in a real song. So what they do is they speed it up so that it fits in that minute little time frame that Instagram allots. And oh, but because I'm able to speed it up, it makes me look like a much more fluid and gifted guitar player than I actually am. How about we not even pay attention to these fuckers? How about we just move the fuck on to something that has a lot more of an emotional impact musically? How about we move on to something that isn't just, you know, pointless drivel meant to impress? It's fine if you want to listen to stuff that's like fast and precise, etc. There's a lot of great music out there that still is like that and still has an emotional impact of some sort. But, you know, a lot of these guys, it's just boring. I'm sorry. It's just boring. So there it is. There you go. That's what I feel about the situation. I'm less offended by these motherfuckers that are doing this, and I'm more offended by the fact that we actually give pause to be offended by them. Like, what we need to do is we need to focus on practicing our asses off. We need to focus on listening to kick-ass music again. And we just kind of need to let these motherfuckers die a slow, painful social media death where no one follows them, where no one listens to them, and they just eventually fall by the wayside. So yeah, if you're still subscribed to me after all that shit, thank you so much for sticking around. Lots more content to come.